What's up, my comic comrades? Today we continue our look at characters appearing in the new Moon Knight series, with the origin of one of the Moon Knight villains making his live-action debut, and that would be Anton Mogart, also known as the Midnight Man. However, before we say anything else, it's important to take a second and acknowledge the sudden tragic death of actor Gaspard Ulliel, who played Midnight Man in the series. Sadly, the young French actor passed away after a skiing accident a little over a month ago. Needless to say, it's a heartbreaking situation, especially for those who knew and loved him. So all of us here at Variant would like to extend our deepest condolences to his family and friends, including the Marvel family. We hope it's some consolation that who he was will live on as part of Marvel's legacy. There was no way we could do this episode without first acknowledging the loss of Gaspard. With that said, let's pay our respects to the late actor by highlighting the comic book origins of the character he brought to life. So who is Midnight Man? Let's find out. Midnight Man first appeared in Moon Knight issue 3 in October of 1981. He was created by Moon Knight creators Doug Munch and Bill Sienkiewicz. Now I will say off the bat, Midnight Man is not a prominent character at all in the comics. He's very similar to Death Dealer, where he only appeared a handful of times before his death. Meaning there's not much to say about the character, but I'm gonna give you what we got. Midnight Man's real name is Anton Mogart. As for who and what he's all about in his Midnight Man persona, he's an art thief. So he steals great works of art, jewelry, and other valuable antiques from locations all around the world. And the reason he's called Midnight Man is because his thievery takes place at midnight, hence him being given the nickname Midnight Man. And the crazy thing about Anton is he didn't steal things for money. No, he actually lived in a New Jersey mansion and stole for the thrill of it, / just wanted to own these incredible pieces of art. In his first appearance in Moon Knight issue 3, we see a Daily Bugle newspaper with the headline saying, "Midnight means murder," with a column titled "Midnight Man Strikes Again." The article reads, the connoisseur art thief, who has been called the Midnight Man, struck again last night, burgling a rare Manier oil painting from the Ramadan Art Gallery on 5th Avenue near 59th Street. The thief, whose stolen prizes range from paintings and original manuscripts to priceless collectibles, and who has continued his Jack the Ripper-like practice of taunting the police by mail, is still at large after 23 consecutive nights of successful theft. The latest notes of the police defies anyone, including that gaudy buffoon Moon Knight, to stop him, now that I've amply demonstrated that the police are no match for my cunning or finesse. But of course, Moon Knight didn't take too well to being called out by an art thief in the newspaper. The problem is there would constantly be bank robberies or other sort of crimes minutes before midnight or at midnight, which would preoccupy Moon Knight, allowing Midnight Man to continue his thefts. Like for instance, on a Saturday night, there was a mugging in progress, so Moon Knight came to stop it, but the mugging happened at a bank at 11:56 p.m. Meanwhile, across town at a museum, the Midnight Man added a new prize to his collection. The comic continues to show us Midnight Man stealing things like a French opera singer's necklace while she's singing in front of a crowd nonetheless, and so on and so forth. But eventually Moon Knight comes face to face with Midnight Man, tracking him down at his very own mansion. And Midnight Man replies, "Like the news said, like the moon at midnight, our paths were destined to cross." Moon Knight then tells him, "So our meeting was," and Midnight Man interrupts saying, inevitable as death." Moon Knight replies, "And why is that, do you suppose?" Midnight Man answers, "Because you're the only one who might stop me sooner or later. I prefer sooner so I can eliminate you and get on with my business." Moon Knight replies, "You've never killed before." Midnight Man tells him, "I never had to, but there comes a time for every necessity, every need." Moon Knight says, "Yeah, I know collector's mania." And with that, the two start fighting each other inside of the mansion, throwing each other all over the place. Moon Knight then tosses Midnight Man into his display case as we see one of the statues and necklaces he stole from earlier. The fight eventually leads to the top of Midnight Man's mansion, who has now been unmasked and revealed to be Mogart. But the fight ends with Midnight Man being shot by Marlene Mark, Spectre's lady friend, who just arrived on the scene. Once he's shot in the back, he starts falling off the top of the roof. Moon Knight tries to catch him, but he slips and falls into the river below, presumably dying. Moon Knight then takes one of the paintings Midnight Man stole and donates it to an art museum. This leads us to Moon Knight issue 9, where we find out that Midnight Man didn't actually die. You see, in the issue, a very much alive Midnight Man lures Moon Knight into a flooding sewage chamber, where he seems to have captured Moon Knight, with him even saying, "All right, Mogart, the first round is yours." Midnight Man then replies, "But before the bell sounds for round 2, shall I bring you up to date? So you'll know why I must kill you this time. You recall we last saw each other on the roof of my New Jersey mansion. It was then I was ingloriously shot by one of your assistants. I will, however, credit you with trying to save me. But you yourself bungled, succeeding only to rip the cloak from my back, leaving me to plunge into the cold river. I was still stunned by the impact of what I later deduced must have been rubber bullets. Small consolation, I assure you, when the river current dragged me under. I revived enough to fight my way to the surface, where I was swept downriver and gradually across the Manhattan side, coming to rest finally, at the mouth of a drainage viaduct. A most degrading experience, again, I assure you. The waste effluent shock took me into an agony of awareness. It also burned. Knowing that the police will soon be dragging the river from my body, I entered the sewer system and hid there, like a miserable animal, for 3 full days. When at last I dared venture from hiding, I discovered that the police vultures have picked my den clean. All my priceless acquisitions, my paintings, statues, antique furnishings, rugs, automates, jewelry, and artifacts. My entire collection was gone, and with it all, Moon Knight, my face, burned to a grotesque mask by the filthy wastes of the city. You then are responsible not only for the loss of my entire collection, Moon Knight, my entire reason for living, but you have also stolen my face. I believe you called me refreshingly psychotic. Now, however, only the latter half of the description applies. The same mania for collecting still infects me, Moon Knight, but there is nothing refreshing about my pursuit of it, nothing refreshing about my current living quarters, nor my new collection. I am a living mockery of what I once was, and so I made the sewer chamber a mockery of my former mansion, and this trash a mockery of my former collection. As we see, Midnight Man has entered full-blown crazy town and now collects trash. Midnight Man then says, but tonight at midnight, I decided to change all of that. I decided the time was right for vengeance. I decided to once again collect worthwhile items. I started with this, as he reveals that he stole the statue of Khonshu and pushes it off scaffolding, causing it to shatter on the ground. Of course, this leads to a fight between Moon Knight and Midnight Man, which carries over into issue 10 of Moon Knight, and it ends with Midnight Man once again being washed down the river. If you were wondering about the statue of Khonshu, don't worry, Spectre's girlfriend Marlene had it replaced for him. But he asks her, Marlene, tell me the truth. Was the shattered one the replica and this one the original? Or did you have a replica made after the original was destroyed? She answers, if it really matters to you, dear Steven, you could always have it carbon dated. He replies, no thanks, I guess I'd rather not know. Then flash forward a little bit to Mark Spector Moon Knight issue 5, where we learn what happened to Midnight Man. In this issue, we see that Midnight Man has returned and is doing his thing, stealing all sorts of art pieces, but when Moon Knight catches and unmasks him, he realizes it's not Anton. The man tells Moon Knight that his name is Jeff Wild, the illegitimate son of Mogart. Wild tells Moon Knight that Anton tracked him down while he was dying from cancer, and then taught him all of his trade secrets, but pleaded with him not to become a criminal. After Mogart died, Wild took up the mantle of Midnight and ended up following in his father's footsteps. Now that about sums it up for Midnight Man's backstory and comics, but let's talk about his powers and abilities. Ultimately, he's just a normal dude who is a master thief and a master martial artist. His thievery skills allowed Anton to steal some of the most valuable and priceless art pieces from around the world with ease. And he's such a good martial artist that he was able to hold his own against Moon Knight. In fact, he may have beaten Moon Knight his first time if not for Marlene intervening. So he's a cool character, but his skill set is pretty cut and dry. As for reading recommendations, check out the 4 comics we went over today. Moon Knight issues 3, 9, and 10, as well as Mark Spector Moon Knight issue 5. That'll nicely round out all the Midnight Man goodness we just talked about. And that's gonna bring today's episode to a close, but if you like today's episode, check out this one right here. And if you like our content, subscribe, like, and comment. You know the deal, it helps out with the YouTube algorithm. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time when I talk about all things comics.